Spells, magic, all language is magic, all art is magic. The more that you know me, the more you can understand me. Part of that has to do with all these nested fields of relationship. It's English speaking, understanding my culture, understanding my family, understanding all the different fields and the multiplicities and the relationships that make up me. The more that you understand that, the more that you can understand me. This is written in English. Most people will not understand this. This is also the criticism that people have of like Vervaeke or symbolism or this little corner of the internet. Everything works this way. It's like when people come into this little corner of the internet and they'll watch one of my live streams, one of Paul's live streams, and they'll be like, what are these people saying? This is nonsense. This makes no sense to people. Well, it doesn't if you're not within that relationship. If you haven't been initiated and you haven't been put under that spell of that language and that magic, you won't be able to understand it. Being under the spell of that language is part of understanding it. Science is like this too, people. It's not complicated. Like, you won't understand it if you're not initiated in it, if you're not under its spell. That's how it works. And spells, just like hierarchies, bind and blind. And this is where negative cults happen, is like you can get under the spell of a cult, which is necessary. It's inevitable. You have to understand anything. And then you can flip that, and it can become a closed system, cultish thing that binds and blinds anything else, that doesn't let anything else in, and become a dead, stagnant pond or a dead castle where there's no spring coming up to give it life, and it's not getting anything from outside. It's just a dead thing. Everything works that way. And it reminds me of the George MacDonald quote from Lilith. We conflate familiarity with understanding. And where he says, and the fact is no man understands anything. And he says, I'm sorry I can't explain the thing to you. I but barely apprehend it myself. You have familiarity with it. But familiarity isn't understanding. Like, people think they understand this table that my computer's sitting on, this phone. You think you understand this because you're familiar with it. You don't understand this. Up quarks, down quarks, leptons, bosons. What are those? You don't know. You don't know. Like, you don't know what anything is. You just think you do. We are so under the spell. Most of us are. In the modern world, it's just the way it is. We are bewitched by philosophical materialism. You're under a spell. And I don't know. Tom, yeah. Dude, amen. But here's the thing, is like, this is why you have to have understandings and magic. This is why the Bible's so profound, why parables are so profound. What percentage of the world is ever going to understand Owen Barfield? Less than 1%. I think very few in this corner understand Owen Barfield. I barely understand him.
But you were saying there about like the spells of different,
Yes.
like the different corners. What are the other corners? This little corner, that little corner. We all have our language, that's unique to our corner, and it's like a magic spell. It reminded me actually of a C.S. Lewis quote. He says, "Remember your fairy tales. Spells are used for breaking enchantments as well as for inducing them." It's like
Totally. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
There's so much, all magic is bad. So I really support this stream where it's like, no, we're all doing magic all the time.
Yes.
And it's just, you have to have good magic.
Yeah. This is the thing. It's like, if everything is really magic, like we're all doing magic. We're all wizards. Like, why do people read, all these conservative Christians, like they'll read Tolkien and like, what do you think Gandalf is?
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is why, if we're using this magic all the time, like language, we're doing it unconsciously, and like, we don't realize that it's magic. We don't realize the metaphysical power that we're invoking in speaking or acting and stuff. And I think just to be aware that it's like, people talk about like manifestations, like the story you tell yourself in your mind. It's the same thing. It's a magical spell that you're casting in your mind, and it's like, if you realize that it's magic, and that like it will have an effect on the reality that you inhabit, like, you maybe change the story you're telling yourself, type of thing.
For sure, man. And whether we go to neurology or to physics or elsewhere, we are confronted with the demonstrable conclusion that the actual macroscopic world of nature, as distinct from the microscopic, submicroscopic, and inferred world of physical science, is mediated by concepts as well as presented through the senses. And earlier he says, to experience a world of corporeal substance as existing quite apart from his thinking self is not a conclusion of his judgment. Nate, what's up?
I should be wearing my Batman shirt because, like, that was basically putting out the bat suit.
Yeah, there's no objective view,
Yeah, the concepts or the laws or all these things are these inferred realities that you're just assuming. That's your faith. But like, That's the case for anything.
I don't think that any trends are like accidents. Like the postmodernism thing is like, this is just a natural response to like objectivity, right? Where we have like the subjective aspect matters, right? It's like the frames that we wear, the glasses that we see through. And it's interesting for me when it comes to like beauty.
Yeah.
We talk about like the objectively beautiful and as one of the transcendentals, and I can like, you know, something about that's right, but there's also something about it where it's like there is always like the person's frame that they're looking.
Exactly.
Like, you can't control what you love, like you said recently.
Totally. It's the hard problem of all perception. The phrase that we have, people think this is just poetic nonsense. It's not. It's like the most logical, philosophical shit you could say. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
It really is. So is truth.
Everything
is in the eye of the beholder.
Oh,
We're all doing spells.
Even if the
You come under my spell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But to say that the human being reflects the cosmos implies that, you know, it's not just in the eye of the beholder, it's also in the cosmos.
Well, it's mosaic. It's only when you're seeing the wholeness. It's only when you're seeing the wholeness of the image that you have that mosaic vision that you're always talking about.
The eye of the beholder isn't the individual. The beholder implies a beholden.
Okay, fair enough. Because I was just afraid that it was kind of like, okay, you know what we're just having is sort of a mental orgasm.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, no, this is the thing. It's
Right.
like, we don't want to reduce it to like, you know, I think this is the thing, is that we're struggling to integrate like the postmodern impulse, you know? And it's like, what does an integrated of that look like? It's like this idea of where there is this objective quality to the good and the beautiful, but it is also, you know, like, I try and think about maybe there's some sort of meshing.
All of these perspectives are entangled and then give lattice to reality. And heading an assembly body, so this is, you know, what allows the universe to actually self-configure and self-actualize, that integrates multiple entangled strings of information. So it's taking all these perspectives and it's harmonizing them through this global structure, and that's what God is. It's observer participants with free will that give character, structure, and existence to the real universe.
I don't know why the balloons keep popping up.
Thinking about like observers and stuff, I've been hearing some murmurings through the physics spheres that like black holes might have this ability to like collapse quantum states, in the sense where like they act as observers in the cosmos to a certain extent. And talking about like the sun through Rupert Sheldrake's idea having consciousness, you know, like this makes me think about the eye of the beholder, and like maybe it's like what beauty is in this galaxy is largely you know, a reflection of our galactic center, like what it sees as beautiful or something like that.